All right, let's take you here now. The price of petrol to decrease by R2.04 per litre on Wednesday. Here's Robert Maige from the Department of Minerals, Resources and Energy.
The following fuel prices will be effective on Wednesday, the 7th of September. Both grades of petrol will decrease by R2.04 a litre. Diesel will decrease by 46.34 and 56.34 cents a litre. Paraffin at retail level will decrease by R1.09 a litre. LP gas will decrease by R1.65 per kilogram. And the main reasons for this adjustment are as follows. The first one is the lower oil prices, which led to the lower prices of all petroleum products. And also the rand appreciated slightly against the US dollar during the period under review. The department approved an increase of 30.66 cents per litre on the slate levy, which is applicable on both petrol and diesel. The slate levy is expected to decrease if the current downward trends persist.
All right, now let's discuss this. We are now joined via Zoom by senior economist at Alternative Information and Development Center, Dr. Dick Forslund. Dr. Forslund, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Of course, good news, no doubt, for motorists. Are we likely to see this downward trend continuing?
Well, it's very hard to say. One can note that the price decrease was lower than was announced only yesterday or speculated about 2-3 days ago. Then the assumption was that the fuel price would go down by 230, 240, 250 or something like that. And when it comes to diesel, even in the middle of August, so the authority on this, which is the Central Energy Fund, they said that the diesel price would decrease by more than 2 rand. But now we see then 2 weeks later it was 70 rand, and now we see the result. So it's very hard to predict the vagaries of this market. And there are other international factors in play. For example, now Russia has stopped the gas delivery to Europe, and we don't know if some of these countries, I know some countries who have the sort of reserve energy capacity where they are simply burning oil. So maybe demand will increase from there. And then we have, of course, the volatile rand, which is going up and down. And right now, I think it's about 70.25 or something, which is the highest, well, at least the highest in 1 month, the highest in 2 months. So it's very hard to predict. And for the food prices, well, one should know that food prices and goods in South Africa is mainly transported by means of diesel. So I don't think that we will expect any sort of rapid effect on food prices and the things that are really pressing the majority of South African right now. So I think, well, one measure to take is to have a price cap on the 2025 most important foodstuff and goods for households. That would be something intervention that would be welcomed.
I'm glad you mentioned, the rising food prices as well, because I was going to ask you about that. But another thing that you mentioned is, of course, Russia and their decision. Should Russia then halt gas supplies to Europe, as it says it will, until those sanctions are lifted? What does it really mean from a supply perspective, for us in South Africa?
Well, if this, as I said, if this means that European countries will start to replace energy or electricity from burning gas and instead sort of put to work again the slumbering or the which has gone on a spare, like power stations which are driven by oil and not by gas, or replace it, then the demand for oil will increase. But I mean, it's very hard you have to have a long-term solution to this situation rather than patching up, going from week to week what to do. I think a price cap on food prices, given that the price on diesel didn't drop at all so much as was announced, because food is mostly transported by diesel. But then also, which I suggested in several interviews now, I think in this situation you should have a long-term solution which would benefit on a number of things. So you should really consider, in fact, to decrease the speed limits in the country. It would be good for the deaths in traffic, which are over 14,000 fatalities per year. It would be good when it comes to the climate and the pollution of greenhouse gases. It would be good for the trade balance, because now many refineries in South Africa is not working. They have been closed. So now the country is importing, in fact, petroleum products as they are, which are more expensive. And it also for the individuals or for the consumers, if the fuel consumption is drawn down, which you do with other stuff when the prices are high, if you can, then that is also what you do when petrol prices are going up. You have to sort of cope with that individually, and usually you try to reduce the speed of your car. But I think we should do it collectively and get a lot of other benefits from that.
As we wait for Stats SA to release the, the gross domestic product results for the second quarter, government, of course, fearing that the gross domestic product second quarter numbers may show a regression in the economic growth. Your thoughts?
Well, I haven't seen these announcements. We are waiting eagerly, of course. But I mean, I don't know really if it will have any big effect on the unemployment rates, which is something that really concerns us at AIDC. And I would guess also the millions of South Africans who are unemployed. Because when the GDP have grown previously, we haven't seen a lot of changes in the unemployment rate. We have usually seen so-called jobless growth. So it's more like a thing for the upper echelons of society so far than it has been for the majority. So I wouldn't kind of like jump too high on increase in the gross domestic product. I'm rather wait for the next unemployment report from South Africa.
Of course. Thank you so much, Doctor. We'll leave it there for now. Dr. Dick Forslund, he is a senior economist at Alternative Information and Development Center. Thank you so much for your time.